Assalamu alaikum and good evening to you. Welcome to Western Roads. Some of you might have visited this magnificent house before, but if you haven't, it is one of the magnificent places of the world. And these are the corridors of power where Britain has ruled for centuries, for almost half the world, where the sun never used to set in the British Raj or British Empire. Anyway, today's event, I was only actually asked to stand in for Lord Nadir Ahmed. And Lord Nadir Ahmed, my friend who has been around for a very long time, and comparatively I'm a very new Lord. And so a lot of people keep, they only know one Lord who is the most known. And before they get Hussain on their tongue, Ahmad comes out. And this is the first time it has happened. It often happens because Ahmad has been around for much longer time, as Baroness Uddin has been my good friend Baroness Uddin, who is here. Lord Ahmad and Lord Baroness Uddin are among the very first peers who were introduced from the Muslim community some 16 or 15 years ago. And may I just say that I read once that somebody was introducing somebody was giving all these credentials, and he says he's a very good man, he does charity work, he's done this, he's done that. And while somebody was actually praying, somebody was pointing at him and introducing him, and before he finished, the man actually broke his prayer and he said, I've been to Hajj as well. So I nearly did that whilst you were introducing, because it wasn't the conference only that has led me to here. I have years of experience of volunteer work from my early 20s, was engaged in volunteer work and helping those who were less fortunate. I was landed in this country without much English at all at the age of 14. And imagine the kind of struggle that I would have had to go through to come to the Irish roads. And also I was parliamentary candidate for 2005 and 10, and I was a European parliamentary candidate in 2009. So I had a few other things on the side, as well as working full time and raising my family, and I've never been out of work in the last 20 years. But that was actually the reason for me to come to Luton when I left Rochdale after living there for more than 20 years. I came out of work all those years ago, 1993, and came down to Luton, and that's where I am now. And my children are all born Rochdale, but they're all brought up in and educated in Luton, and they are working in their own fields. Now, the event today, as it's been said by Ali, that it is representation and reality. And one of the things that perhaps some of us feel that perhaps it's a new thing, Islamophobia, that we are facing today. This has been around for a long time. I remember when I went to school in this country, kids would not sit next to me saying, "It smells curry." Things have changed. All the restaurants, Indian restaurants, are full of English people now. And this is how much things have changed for us. And a lot of work, I have to say, has gone into building bridges and integration. Both sides, I have to say. If I look back in the days that, my early days in the United Kingdom, wherever you were never felt equal. There was a lot of discrimination. A lot of laws were made since we've been here to combat not extremism, but the discrimination, racial discrimination. And what we have today, we're far from being equal, I accept that, But I think we've come a very long way if we look at where we were 30 years ago, 35 years ago, or even 40 years ago when I was a youngster in this country. And we ought to give credit to all those who worked very hard to bring the legislations and the laws which we are enjoying today. In our time, there were no halal meat in schools or hospitals or anywhere. And you've got to really give credit to those people who fought hard for years and years to get these facilities in place. And many other things like school uniforms. I remember those girls who used to, from the Muslim community, who used to go to school with us, and they had no option, particularly in the school that I went to, in the summer, but to wear a skirt. And many families were reluctant to have their daughters wearing skirts, and they were keeping them off school wherever they can, and all sorts of things happen. But it was the involvement of people who managed to get things changed, in understanding. And what I always say to people is, no use standing outside and shout. You've got to get involved in order to get things changed. Build a better understanding. The British culture, the British people, they are so open. And I have to say that they are much more tolerant than perhaps we might see, even if we look around in our neighborhood in Europe. We stand out. And I'm proud to be a British. Yes, there, as I said earlier, we're far from being equal yet. But nevertheless, if you compare our country's record on race relations, on equality, we are way ahead of many other countries. And I'm glad to see that. But this must continue. The younger people, students particularly, you are the leaders of tomorrow. And I look up to students to lead the next generation. I can see some of you representing in the House of Parliament. I can see some of you, if I can make it without knowing a lot of the English and coming to this country at the age of 14 and missed all the higher education in this country full time. All my education has been almost part-time, because when you come at 14 and you're struggling with English, you're not going to come out with the A grades in O-levels. I left without any qualifications at 16. But I was determined to learn and change. And so I did. Worked full-time, studied part-time, and if I tell you, I was at the university at the same time as my children, because this is how long it took me to get to university. I was working, I was doing community work, voluntary work, raising my family, trade union work, this, that, and the other, everything was happening at the same time. But what I'm saying to you young people is, you are that far ahead. You don't have all this baggage. You are residing in one of the countries where we've got one of the best education system in the world. You can criticize it, there are weaknesses here, there, and everywhere. But yet we have one of the best systems of education in this country, and you need to benefit from that. You're lucky. Look at the third world or other countries where people, they spend millions to come to this country to get educated. And here we are, those who are British, who live in this country, who have the right to stay in this country, they are having a lot of it either free or they have other means of borrowing and then paying back as we have in student fees situation. However, I'm not going to take long. Media always plays Islamophobia and all sorts of things, but students are not alone in that. We see that in our daily life, but we need to challenge that. And I think we are doing, at the minute, I think that we are, what are we doing? There is, however, I have to say, small group of people from our communities, from the Muslim community, who don't represent the majority, who are very few, who give so extreme views that sometimes the whole Muslim community is labeled because of them. And I have faced them in Luton for a very long time. I have suffered at their hands. The kind of representation that they make of Islam is nothing to do with reality. And I hope that the Students' Federation, the Federation of Student Islamic Societies, will continue to do the good work that it is doing. And at the same time, as when you are dealing with Islamophobia, we need to be dealing with the extremism within us as well, because they are two sides of the same coin, and we need to be dealing with those two at the same time. And with that, I have to say to you is that I have other commitments too. I did say to Ali that I will be here for a very short time, just to welcome you, and as well as debates in the chamber, and there are votes expected. I have a few other commitments. I will stay with you for another 15 or 20 minutes. But with that, I hand you over to Ali, and I hope that the conference goes well, and please do continue with your good work.
Thank you very much.